Good evening, fellow morons. Those eagle-eyed ones of you with a clock that I put the wrong screen on there as we started. So that is a great start to this stream straight away. I clicked on one of the previous scenes that we had loaded up that had Who Framed Roger Rabbit and the Avengers on it. So that was ages ago. So I don't know how long ago that was. I need to remove that because I've updated the stuff to be a little bit better for us. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining us on our animated week. You guys will start to notice that we are a moron short this week. So our resident superstar Sean has been a little diva and decided to take the night off. He's also decided not to send us in his review over these two movies. So please berate him on comments, Instagram, Twitter especially, because he's supposed to be dealing with that as well. But I think we can make this a shit on Sean week with him being a no-show, no giving us any reviews, and also not dealing with Twitter. What do we think?
What's the problem with finding out he's gone live? He's gone rogue and went live himself reviewing the two movies and was all up here.
He's stolen it. He's away somewhere else now.
If we're not stream finishes, you can send them over to Sean.
Well, if Sean's got his own stream, we're fucked because everybody's going to be there. They're going to be there for the ego anyway. That's for sure. But anyway, guys, we are here to talk about the animated movies that won this week. This was a really good interactive week with our Instagram account. Everyone seems to jump all over a good animated movie. But we ended up with the winners being Up and Big Hero 6. So today we're going to talk about both of those movies. But I would like to, before we do that, just jump over and have a little recap about the leaderboard. We've not had the leaderboard up for a few weeks, so I think it's a good opportunity for us to talk about it. So the leaderboard should be on the screen right now. And as you can see, the top 10 is sitting with, at the bottom, we have Trial of the Chicago 7, which narrowly put out There Will Be Blood, much to... much to Daniel's despair, the fact that There Will Be Blood does not make our top 10 movies. Trial of the Chicago 7 sitting there lovely at number 10, followed up by the controversial Inglourious Bastards. If anyone's not been on Instagram today and seen the clips channel that Daniel's put in there, I think my opinion of Inglourious Bastards has divided the community or made it landslide that everybody hates me when it comes to that.
We've been getting private messages just talking about how much shite you were talking, so you're nowhere right.
Well, it is neck and neck with the fighter. Listen, don't give me shit. Don't tag me in it so they give me shit. So Inglourious Basterds is tied with the fighter, narrowly beaten by a newcomer to the leaderboard last week, which was Terminator. Then we have Burnsy's favourite, No Country for Old Men. Then the top 5 comprises of Fight Club, Wolf of Wall Street, the top 3 being Shawshank Redemption, 7, and of course number 1 is still sitting pretty with Parasite. Thoughts on a new entry coming into the top 10 this week? Just initial thoughts?
Not this week, I don't think. Although at the end of this, we'll obviously talk about next week's. And I think next week we've got 2 opportunities that could be in there, I think.
Some very interesting choices coming in for next week. So let's be back onto the full screen camera, guys. And let's just get straight into talking about Up. Let's start with Up. Let's go to Daniel first to take us away.
So I first watched this when it first came out. Well, not when it first came out, but 10 years ago anyway, I first watched this. And the first sort of 10, 11 minutes or whatever it is absolutely blows you away. I think this is, do you know how Disney picked up with a little short movies that they do sometimes when you go to see Toy Story? There's a wee short story before it.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the very best one of those ever made, followed by the worst Pixar movie ever. After the first 10 minutes, I just think this is shite. I don't get it. The first 10 minutes, even though I knew what was coming, and I've seen it before, I still was nearly crying a little bit. Still getting shit, still emotional. It's a masterpieces, that first little section, and then I don't follow it after that. I don't care about the birds. I don't care about the old man. Like, and how old must that guy be? So when the old man, your main guy, is a little boy, that old man is already like in his 30s, maybe 40. He must be like 50 or something.
Yeah.
So there is some plot holes on this because of the trivia that I've read. I've got a little bit of a background on exactly that point. So when they were making this movie, there was multiple different avenues that they wanted to go down with the storyline. And one of the parts of the storyline is the reason that the Charlie Mutz guy is so excited to get this bird is because the bird lays eggs that have powers to stop the aging process or reverse the aging process. Hence why he's a lot younger than what he should be. But they've taken that element out of the film and not explained why this guy's not dead.
Aye, that's bizarre. I guess thing is, because it's obviously a Disney movie, they probably won't think that the likes of us are going to be reviewing it and thinking
Exactly, like your target audience is like a bunch of 6-year-olds who have no concept of age and time. So
it took us precisely...
He's still alive.
Took us precisely 5 minutes to then go in there and tear up the plot line of a beloved Disney movie. A movie that's in the top 123 movies on IMDb's list. Because a gaping plot hole. But it is a valid one. And when I was reading the trivia on this and about how that would have added a bit more depth to the storyline, a bit more point about the bird rather than it just being this beautiful bird that he wanted to return to America.
Yeah, I would explain why he never just caught it and brought it back, because clearly he could have caught it in all the years and just brought it back.
The thing was, as well as he wasn't, Carol, he wasn't like fussed about the bird to begin with either. It was a wee boy that was wanting the bird.
Yeah.
So like if it was going up the eggs to stop the aging process, and surely he would have been interested in keeping it. It wouldn't be the wee boy, but I didn't want to get any older.
I don't think obviously.
I think the main old man knew. It's just the old man. Too many old men. But
no country for old men. That's what Paradise Island is.
I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but see, once they get there, once the house lands on the wee bit and it becomes this weird thing with the guy in the blimp and the talking dogs, like, it just seems like they've had 5 or 6 different writers in a room chucking random ideas. What if there was this weird bird? What if there was talking dogs there? Like,
yeah,
it just doesn't all add up. And then, it's okay after that. It just seems like it would be a straight to DVD number if it wasn't for that really beautiful, emotional, musical little bit at the start, which is awesome. I don't think it would have done well without that.
but I would say on that, the bit that gets me isn't even that bit. It's the bit sort of 2/3 of the way through the film where he goes back and actually reads past the things I'm going to do page in that book, and it finds out like the full length together is in that bit. It's like thanks for the adventure. I thought that was more heart wrenching than that first 15 minutes monologue or 15 minutes opening scene until obviously she dies and he's left being an angry old man hitting people over the head with tennis ball walking sticks.
I don't know if this is something that's going to do a thing, but is it Jenky's actually just in these old folks' home imagining this? And the wee boy's actually just somebody that comes to visit him and he tells him stories.
Well, there's lots of theories about that, about how the little boy isn't actually the little boy. He's like a guardian angel ready to take him to heaven because that's the end of his time. And there's lots of interesting stories that you can read about what the meaning is behind this movie, because it does suggest that he's the only one that's like really paying attention to this little boy, and it's all within his head. Quite a dark undertone when you think of it. I've got that down in my notes about one of the. Where would you go? Some people believe that Carol travelling with the balloons is actually his journey to the afterlife. I don't know.
I suppose I thought it was maybe even sadder than that, is that he was actually in an old folks' home and he was so miserable on it that he was convincing himself this was what he was doing.
He is the most miserable old man, eh? He barely talks a word.
Because I think if he was going to the afterlife, that Ellie would be there in a more prominent form than a picture on the wall in this house. if that's where his end point was.
He interestingly doesn't have any direct communication with Ellie in the whole movie. The only time he actually speaks to her is when he speaks to the house. So the whole start of it is all her talking. And not him at all. He just struck me as the most miserable guy from a kid all the way up to the age he was in the movie. I didn't really understand him. I found him to be quite unlikable after the first 10 minutes. The first 10 minutes is really sad and heartbreaking, and you're watching this man lose the love of his life, and we could obviously, you've mentioned earlier, Daniel, it's quite an emotional 10 minutes, but then after that he's the most unlikable, unbearable guy.
It's weird because I don't know if they were trying to, I thought when watching it I was thinking they're trying to give off the impression I actually feel sorry for him, but I was similar to you, that when they're going to knock the house down that and he's going to be hitting folk, I'm like, well, you're not really going to, you felt sorry for him when they're saying, your house is getting taken off you, but he goes and just smashes somebody over the head, you're like, well, nah.
It was quite Pixar that, like.
Was that because I wasn't sure whether he was meant to be a likeable guy or not. I couldn't really put my finger on it.
I think he's supposed to be he's bitter and sad, which has made him grumpy and old because his wife's dead, you know. I suppose you're supposed to think that he was a nicer man. But I get Kevin's point is that you didn't really get to see that. He doesn't speak in the first bit. He didn't get to know much about him.
So Sarah's bumped into the chat saying that he's just shy. That's what he is. He's shy.
But he must have a bravado-ness that he has when he sees a balloon salesman inside some sort of safari park or whatever. So he must have a good people-facing persona, at least for his job then, because he must be entertaining kids and whatever else whilst he's working his Monday, Friday, 9-5 there. But you can't imagine he does that and then he goes home and he's just that grumpy old bastard, like to the age of like 21 up to retirement.
Mm-hmm. Nah, I think it's not just because he's depressed because his wife's dead. I think you're meant to get the impression that he was actually happy all the time until then. Just life hadn't quite gone how he wanted.
Yeah, because the little montage at the start is very much a perfect life leading up to it. It is quite sad that they've obviously got this goal in their life that they're looking to do, and there's hurdles along the way until she passes away, and then he decides, fuck it, I'm going to do this for her. Like, and you've got to put the point that he does have that type of personality. I just feel that throughout the movie he does seem a selfish and grumpy person, but I get the fact that he's got this mission in mind and that's what he's achieving regardless of what's going on. That's why he doesn't give a fuck about the bird, doesn't give a fuck about the dog and the little boy as well. But I mean, it's a wild concept. I think it's cool. It's one of the most iconic Pixar movies for a long time at the moment, where you've got the house with the balloons and stuff on it. Everybody knows what it is, and it's got a really good reputation to it. I think it does tick the boxes of where you want it to go for a Pixar movie. It could be a short movie. I'm with you on that. I do get that. I can't remember the name of it for the life of me. I will find it, but there's a short Disney movie, and it's about a little dumpling, and it's brilliant. It's like 10 minutes long. It's absolutely fantastic, and this probably would have ticked all the boxes of a short movie, and you could have taken a lot of them out. One thing I just want to bring up about the bad guy, because I thought this was really cool, and I had no idea about this. The villain Charles Muntz has a similar name to Charles Mintz, who was Universal Pictures executive in 1928, who stole Walt Disney's production rights to his highly successful Oswald the Lucky Rabbit cartoon series. This then led to Walt Disney creating Mickey Mouse, who then obviously eclipsed Oswald in popularity. So they've went and made him a bad guy in the movie.
That's right.
And there's little snippets. There's a couple of little Easter eggs with Oswald the Lucky Rabbit appearing in this movie as well. So there is an actual proper fuck you to that Charles Mintz, with that character. And I thought that was really interesting. Another one that I didn't really clock until I read this, but all the characters are based upon circles and rectangles, except for the villains who are triangles. Not only are Carol and Ellie based on squares and circles, but objects around them are based in shapes, like the chairs, picture frames. When they both appear in the photograph, the frame is both circle and square. And I love for Sean to be on here for me reading that fact out.
He
hated that.
He would have absolutely despised every second of that phrase. And I actually forgot he wasn't coming on this week when I added that to the trivia, but I thought, you know what, that's an absolute cracking piece for someone like Sean.
The one thing I would say is that I think that's quite common in most animated things, that you make triangles and pointy things for villains and rounded or square for good guys. I think that's just standard in animation.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to run through some more of the trivia that I've got here, and then we can wrap up a little bit up. I don't think there's much more we can really add to it, unless you guys have got notes. But when Carol and Ellie go picnicking, their destination is a spot under the same tree from A Bug's Life.
Oh, that's interesting. They always get A Bug's Life into these things.
That's it. Yeah. And this is the second animated film to be nominated for an Academy Award for Best Picture. Who was the first?
Lion King.
Wrong on both.
It was
animated to be nominated for Best Picture, like the main Best Picture.
Yep.
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast, 1991, correct. And however, this is the first Disney/Pixar film to be nominated as well. It was nominated in the year that the winner was Hurt Locker.
No, I'm a big fan of Hurt Locker, to be honest.
Hurt Locker was also the winner of another two categories that this was nominated for, which was Best Writing and Original Screenplay and Best Achievement in Sound Editing. This movie did, however, win...
See, speaking of the Disney shorts, what's everyone's favourite Disney short then? There's one with the dumpling. You seen the one with the umbrellas?
Nope. Well, I'm going to take a note of it.
There's one where a wee old man and he's...
You said me before, what's the one where they're on the moon? Is that the one where they're on the moon? I enjoyed that.
Burnsy's like, what is this?
I've not seen this films.
That's all I'll tell you about it, but you should go and watch it. It's on Disney.
Short films are great. I like, this is going off topic from animated, but Nash Edgerton does some really good short movies. The brother of Joel Edgerton stars in Warrior. He does some really good ones. You'll probably have seen Spider and Bear. They're two really, really popular ones. Yeah. Just to go back to the Oscars for that year for this movie, it was a winner of 2 Oscars. It won Best Animated Feature Film of the Year, and it also won Best Achievement in Music written for motion pictures with an original score. So a double Oscar winner. And it did currently sits at number 123 on IMDb's list, scoring a really high 8.2. But some other trivia in there as well. It was the first animated film to win Best Original Score since Pocahontas in 1995. And this one blew my mind a little bit. So, thinking of the balloons that are attached to the guy's house. It takes approximately 9 seconds for a skilled worker to fill and tie off a helium balloon. It would take over 12.5 million balloons to stand a lifted 1,600 square foot house off the ground. Therefore, to inflate the necessary number of balloons for Carol to complete his task, it would have taken him 3.5 years, assuming that he did not stop to eat or rest.
I like the bit too when he was when the house when they left off the ground, they just threw a couple of chairs and that out, and then it was alright to lift again.
Hey, you have to.
That friend was weighing it down no matter what else he chucked it.
The kitchen chair, that's alright. We'll be able to get it now.
But do you not like how symbolic it was when they both landed side by side each other? And the camera kind of panned and zoomed a little bit there, like, because that's where they would have sat. Go on, guys. Try to get a tear out of you there, because Sarah's asking in the chat, did anybody cry when Ellie died?
No.
I was close. I cried the first time I watched it, but I nearly cried
I was the same. But as I said, the bit that gets me most is the bit when he goes back and reads the My Adventure book when it shows the life they've lived together. I think that was my heart-wrenching in that opening 15 minutes.
I think I was just heartless at the start, I think.
We need to find something that's going to make Bunsey cry, because I don't think he's no.
So we need to find like a movie that has Liverpool losing in the final or something like that. Or we'll watch Istanbul and watch Bunsey cry with excitement at the end of it.
In fact, there is actually a movie that One Night in Istanbul with Damien Lewis.
Oh,
Isn't that? That's on my picks when it comes to me.
Jesus Christ. But no, unfortunately, I'm a very emotional person, as you can all tell. But this didn't put me to tears. It was sad. I did enjoy it. I feel like it's had a bit of a kick in this movie when it comes to the like we typically do. We come in and destroy the plot holes in this movie and how it could be done better. But it is an enjoyable movie. But I do think it's a lot longer. This is like my phrase that I say every single time that we're on. It's a lot longer than it needed to be. But this is probably another good example of a movie that's a lot longer than what it needed to be, and it just wasn't as enjoyable as the next movie we're going to talk about, in my opinion. But does anybody have anything else they want to add to talking about Up?
I would also say it wasn't. Carry on.
You go, Daniel.
No, I'm finished. I'm finished. There you go.
Right, I would say, you see the bit when they first land where he's fell asleep and Russell's like, oh, I've guided us, this is it, we're here. And the house lands basically at that ridge and it's the opposite end from Paradise Falls.
Yeah.
And that looks walkable. But it looks like, they're in this forest. It looks like there's a flat terrain all the way round. It could take them half an hour at best. But they have to end up doing this forest and whatever else they are. Encountered obviously the bird, and then obviously you've got Months who can't leave the island, is enchanted with this bird that he needs to capture to save his life and prove his reputation. But he could develop technology to allow dogs to speak. But is that not worth coming back and selling to the States and just in some cave in South American helpful?
That's true. That'd be a better discovery anyway, talking dogs.
Yeah.
Listen, it's one of those situations where it probably looks not that far, because I've been done up like a kipper sometimes on Monroe walks when you're like, yeah, we'll just nip to that next one. It's literally just there, and it's fucking 5 hours away.
Yeah.
You all had to take them 3 days to walk it, and like you, I was like, it's just from the corner.
But listen, the boy's like in his 80s. Give him some due.
And then when the boy was like saying I've given up, he could have just dragged them anyway. They were still walking a wee bit when the wee boy was like, I need the toilet and that. But he was still got a decent pace. He could have just like dragged them with him if he wanted, instead of making the wee boy travel all the way back.
Oh god. Daniel, did you have a point to add before I then question you about who the people are that are in the movie?
Yeah, I want to know this. No, I was going to say, I don't even think this was the saddest movie on our list, because a few things lost out. Like An American Tale, absolutely batters this when it comes to sadness. I'd say All Dogs Go to Heaven as well is sadder than this. There was quite a few that made me cry on the list before, so I wanted one of those instead of. I wish we'd got an older cartoon. We'll try and get a different category on for that, I think.
Dean Muirhead, thank you very much for following and welcome in. We're just talking about how sad Disney movies can be, but American Tail and All Dogs Go to Heaven are up there as two that I think would bring a tear to my eye. They're very, very emotional movies. But going in, so you were talking before we came on stream about who plays the characters in these. So do we have any idea of who plays Carol?
I'm not
I recognise his voice as something that I like a lot, that I've watched a lot, and it was really annoying me. I can't remember who it is.
So the actor is Edward Asner. He's most known for, according to IMDb, is the Mary Tyler Moore Show, but he also plays Santa in Elf. Would that help?
Yeah, okay.
And he's in El Dorado with John Wayne.
That's not who I'm thinking of then.
He plays,
boys.
he's also the narrator for American Dad.
Wow.
Just kind of looking down the list here to see if anything jumps out at me, because he's got about 400 movie credits to him in here. I'm not going through them all. He's in the Cleveland. He's in the Cleveland Show, so he's got a lot of work going on across those types of movies. He's in the X-Men video games. He's in Spider-Man TV series. Lots of he's in ER, if that helps.
Everybody's in ER. Honestly, if you have to look up with
So some other characters in there. Do you know who plays Charlie Muntz?
Nah.
Charlie Muntz is Christopher Plummer.
Oh, it looks like him.
He does. He does. It was one of the pieces of trivia that both Christopher Plummer and Edward Aston were both born in 1929. And also the guy that plays the construction foreman, Tom, is John Ratzenberger. Any idea who John Ratzenberger is?
He's from Cheers.
He is from Cheers, yeah. He's Cliff Calvin from Cheers. He's Ham. Yeah, well, Ham in Toy Story.
Oh, Ham, sorry.
Yeah, so he's in Toy Story as well. Alright guys, that brings us towards the end of Up. Now, how did Instagram score Up? I believe there was a lot of responses to this one.
Yeah, so we're hitting like 800 plus when it comes to the voting now, so we need to try and push for 1,000 votes a week. We'll get there soon, I think. When it came to the scores for this, it averaged out at 4.1, so it was well liked on Instagram.
4.1, so it'll be interesting to see if the Morons do go up that high. If you haven't already followed us on Instagram, we are over 1,000 followers now, so we are clearly going to be getting a blue tick soon enough. The Instagram name is just down the bottom there. You get to speak to Daniel on a daily basis. You get to be involved as part of any of the voting process that we're doing. You also get to then give scores against the movies that we're reviewing. And any really good comments that we get, we will bring up and talk about on stream as well. So please, please, please be as interactive as possible. That's enough plugging of that. I would plug the Twitter, but Sean won't check it. So you're essentially dealing with a real life celebrity when you message your Twitter because Sean won't answer or read. So
it's so already. There's an unofficial sixth more that checks it.
I wouldn't be surprised. he's too big time for that. Let's go down the scoring then. Let's get the moron mark on this. Starting off with Daniel.
I think this is a 4.5 star first 15 minutes, followed by a 1 star the remaining hour and a half. So I'm going to give it a 2.25 overall. I do enjoy it. It's alright. I just think compared to other Pixar movies, it lacks. It's just nowhere near the other ones. So it's nowhere near the Toy Story, is it?
A 2.25 from Daniel. Listen, if we were watching Toy Story 3 when they're all holding hands, I would have been crying. Is that 3 or was that 4? Oh, Denny! Denny. Woo! Bunzy, mark this one.
I'm going to give it the same as Daniel as a 2.25. Kind of similar. It was enjoyable, but there was that many bits I didn't like too. So
2.25 from Bunzy and Hunter.
Before I give my score, I'd just like to say 2 words to you. Yuri Tielemans.
I just seen a wee notification pop up there saying I'm beat from Dubs, so Dubby boy!
So my score is similar to Daniel and Bumsy. I think this was just modelled around that first 15 minutes, maybe a wee couple of minutes where you show him being a wee miserable, he reads the book and then you maybe see him going to have a life, just the start of it, all in for that as a shot, but the 80% of the film that surrounds that just drags it down into unwatchable mess, almost essentially. So 2 out of 5 for me.
A 2 out of 5. I mean, I feel like you guys have been overly critical for it. I do enjoy it. I do understand why it's so likeable and such a popular movie. I'm going to give it a 3. Now, we unfortunately do not have more on Sean's review from here. Knowing Sean and his personality, they'd probably give it a 0.25 or something along those lines. There was too much joy and happiness and despair going in there for Sean. But he can maybe ad hoc that in a future time. But Burnsy, out of the 4 of us, what would we give the score to be?
So that's going to be an overall 2.4.
An overall 2.4, and when we have a look at the leaderboard, 2.4 brings us bang in line with The Fugitive, slightly below Prisoners, and above Knives Out. And the scary,
that's a fair place for it.
and the scary horror movie that I can never pronounce properly that you slag me off for, so I'll sidestep that one this week, no problem.
actually is you need to start, because I've already started doing a super cut of all the times you've said it, so you need to keep saying it every now and then.
The Conjuring.
No, say it how you say it.
I'd call it the Conjuring. The Conjuring. It's like
You go down 2132, so you can cut that.
if
I've only got about 5 or 6 examples you saying that. I want to have more before.
we should make it like the Candyman, just stand at the mirror and be like, the Conjuring, the Conjuring, the Conjuring. Speaking of the Candyman, that was put forward as a suggestion for the morons to all go and do a cinema viewing. Hopefully, if we get everyone on board with it, we'll do a cinema viewing of the Candyman, and then ideally we would come in and do a little stream together talking about it with all of us together. So something to hopefully get us all on board with once the celebrity Sean reads the chat and actually replies to us. Well, maybe...
It probably didn't matter if I replied or not, but I'll go.
We just assumed that you were coming.
Sean sending someone on his behalf to watch the movie and give
That's
it
it.
feedback.
We're being redirected to Sean's agent to see if he's available for that afternoon. They want to discuss with us appearance fees before we can actually get going.
Barnsley's new love of horror movies. We'll test it out with the Candyman. I think you might like this one.
I know we're sidetracking from animated and moving into horror at the moment, but I certainly will be watching the original Candyman before we go to this. I didn't think I've watched that since I was about 12, so that needs a little recap watch. But anyway, that's for another stream. But let's go in and talk about the next movie, which was Big Hero 6. Big Hero 6, I've actually not even read the synopsis of these, but these are big, well-known movies that most people will have seen anyway. So Daniel, jump in and give us your thoughts on Big Hero 6.
So this is about the 4th or 5th time I've watched this, and I still enjoy it. I've got a wee soft spot for this movie. I don't know if I'm going to be a bit different to everybody else, but I think this is excellent. Maybe not excellent. It's good. It's a good, easy watch. I think it's got a good incest and plot. I like the dynamic of this sort of half American, half Japanese culture. Is it in the future? Is it a different sort of universe? Doesn't really matter. It's just like, so there's a million plot holes in this if we're going to get into that, but I don't think it matters. It's a cartoon set in a different universe with fucking robots and shit. It's good. I would say that I actually felt more emotional connection with a robot in this film than I do with the old man in it. So I think that's down to how well it's made. It does the story's told very well. There's a lot of loss in this. There's a lot of grief in this film. Like, just like everything sort of Disney, Pixar, Marvel, there's always dead parents everywhere. So the mum and dad are no there. Then his brother dies, and he's like a conflicted genius, and he's also been a criminal, and there's all that shit going on. I think it keeps it interesting all the way through it. It's good. I like it.
Absolutely. Dean Muirhead, the Candyman certainly can. You're right. Just replying to a comment in there, I'm typing one in there saying Candyman. So for me, again, I've seen this movie multiple times. Poppy had a little phase where she absolutely loved this, and we were watching it every other night. I like it because there is obviously that Marvel element to it as well, where it's part of that universe. It's a movie that has you involved as well as you're going throughout it, and there's multiple different layers and multiple different characters. Just to pick up on one thing you said there, Daniel, about the actual city itself. So according to the director, the movie is set in an alternate future. So I think it's about 2038, I think it was, where after the 1906 earthquake, San Francisco was rebuilt by Japanese immigrants using techniques that allowed movement and flexibility in a seismic event. And after the city was finished being rebuilt, it was renamed San Francisco due to it being a city with Japanese and American architecture combined. So there is actual... Sorry?
That's awesome.
So yeah, so there's actually a thought process behind it.
I can accept it. The fact that I was watching this film blind and I seen it was called San Francisco, I'm like, I've got a fucking wee bit of my bonnet about that. Just make your mind up. Nobody's going to question you if it's like Chinatown is like San Francisco or an Americanized bit of Tokyo. Just make your mind up.
And this is maybe one where like it would have an opportunity for a good prequel but I don't know, it doesn't tie in with the Big Hero 6 because they get created as part of this movie, but it is quite an interesting bit to add. Burnsy, what was your thoughts on this?
I thought before I'd watched these two that I would probably, I think I was speaking to my wee brother and Rihanna, I think at the weekend, and I was saying about what two we had to watch, and I kind of thought I was going to like Up more, but I enjoyed this one a lot more. Similar to Daniel, that felt more interested in the characters in this one than Up as well. I thought it was quite a good storyline in terms of there was a lot going on, and then you were where they were sort of trying to find out who had actually killed his brother, or if his brother died for any reason or whatever. That was quite interesting, I thought, and also all the film storyline was pretty decent. I thought it flowed really well, and I think the thing with Up is I was kind of just waiting for that to end, whereas this I was actually thinking it could have actually been a wee bit longer, instead of shorter, which is a change from the films that we have watched previously. So no, I thought it was quite a good storyline. I thought the soundtracks as well were quite good in the film. Picked up, and then I'm getting good at picking up on those now. But it was quite decent. I've not really got much. I think with these kind of films, I struggle to actually think of, because they're animated ones, try and think about the storyline, because I've not seen many animated films to actually try and think of bits I enjoyed or bits that could improve. But from watching it, I've finished watching it. It was enjoyable. So I'll pass it over to Hunter, see what he thinks.
I'm still reeling about the name of the town.
Sort of similar to what's been said. I don't know. I just was literally, this was the first time I'd ever seen it, and I wasn't expecting much going into it. I was just thought Disney Pixar, little bear, kids film, whatever. Just presumed from seeing the poster all these years ago that the Baymax, his name was Big Hero. Like, so I just thought he was the big hero and amongst it and whatever. But it was actually, I thought, quite enjoyable. I actually very enjoyed this at all. Obviously, now knowing from post-watching research that there was a slight Marvel twist on this, that this character's based from the Marvel universe, then obviously gets back into this stuff a wee bit more as well. But just the whole, I mean, it is a bit over the top at times. Obviously, kids are the target audience and whatever else. But I mean, even there's still enough to keep me interested myself, to the fact that I'll probably go back and watch it again. I mean, the fact that it's the kid's hero who turns out to be the bad guy in it, although it is cut and copy and paste the bad guy, good guy storyline, but there's no giveaway in it at all. Everything just points towards this kill guy, he's the reason. But I mean, as I said, it's enjoyable, and I would recommend that anyone that's not seen it, of any age, to go and watch this and enjoy it.
Yeah, it's definitely right, like you said, about the target audience being obviously a lot younger, but it's the kind of film that any age could watch, and it was something. I thought that the Baymax character was portrayed really well in it. I thought that was the character I enjoyed seeing the most, which was a bit bizarre considering it's like a robot for me. I thought kind of these animated films are kind of, they wouldn't have been my bag at all, and I would just wanted like a standard movie.
I'm loving how well versed Burnsy's becoming in movies now. He's into his horror, he's enjoying an animated movie. He watched a foreign movie as well. That's top of the list. Like, Burnsy, you've grown as a person throughout these streams. It's absolutely incredible.
I'm just going to say as well,
even for this, like what I would say as well, like with the subject of grief, obviously it's a big part of the storyline and Up. Obviously we maybe grew up with Bambi's mother, that was like the first thing, and then it was Finding Nemo, and then Up, and then Big Hero 6. This is the one that probably tackles it, I think, the best out of all those, and you feel a lot more empathy and sympathy towards young hero, and then again it maybe makes it a lot more relatable and understandable for kids watching it as well, that if they've went through something similar in their young lives, that then becomes a lot more relatable and can maybe help them if they're going through something similar. But with, as I said, that aspect, like this knocks the other ones at the park for helping folk deal with it.
Just before I go into trivia, Burnsy, you had something to add there?
I was just going to say that I actually felt more emotional in this film when Baymax had like sacrificed himself than I did and did the film up as well. When he was like, he sacrificed himself in order to save Abigail, I think, the pilot that had obviously there was the fault when she was trying to take off kind of thing. I thought that was quite a sad scene, but I think it needed some of that because it was obviously too kind of, if it just finished with everyone being saved. I know it's a Disney film, but I would have probably came on here and be like, that's just a happy ever after. Here's something that's a bit, there was sad parts throughout it, but if the ending was just everyone's okay, all that kind of stuff, it would have kind of been a bit meh for me. So I think that was quite a good ending too with it.
Absolutely. So to jump into some trivia that we've got there, to pick up a point that Hunter said about the deaths in there. So Hero is the 8th protagonist of Walt Disney Animated Studios film to lose a family member whose death is caused by being killed. This is after the title character in Bambi, Todd and Fox and the Hound, Simba and the Lion King, Quasimodo and the Hunchback, the title character for the Tarzan, and Aladdin and Dinosaur, Kenai and Brother Bear. But this does not include Tiana and the Princess and the Frog, as her father's death did not appear, but it was only mentioned. So, I thought there was a lot more than that in Disney, to be honest. I thought there was a lot more.
Most of them are just like missing, or like they died on a ship that sank. They weren't murdered.
Yeah.
Not that many murders.
Well, just to go down the cast of this, because I actually thought this was quite an interesting cast when it came to Big Hero 6. So Hero himself is played by an actor called Ryan Potter, who is in the TV show Titans. So he plays Gar Logan in Titans, which is the guy that turns into the green tiger. So if you've not seen Titans, Titans is brilliant. Definitely worth a watch. You've also got Jamie Chung. She appears in programs like Gotham and The Gifted. Jamie Chung plays Gogo. TJ Miller is Fred. TJ Miller appears most famously as Weasel in Deadpool. Thanks, guys. Thanks for helping me out there. He plays the guy behind the bar in Deadpool. And
Suicide Squad as well.
Is he in the new Suicide Squad? I've not even looked that far down. You've also got Wasabi, better known in the Marvel universe as Wasabi No Ginger, wanker. We've got Damon Wayans Jr., who plays that. Who, ironically, the first choice to play that part was The Rock, but then they gave it to Damon Wayans Jr. That must have been a budget thing.
That must have been a budget thing.
The Rock and Kevin Hart were the two others that were.
The success that Moana's had with the robot, his paycheck must have went up like £1 million after that, and I'm like, no, sack that.
And
I don't know if it's thing, Kyle, but I'm sure I said before that the aim of this was to do a Frozen for boys. They wanted to be able to sell as much merchandise and stuff to boys as they could for Frozen for girls.
Interesting.
That's what the main aim of this film was.
Well, this one is a big universe. So the world that was created for this, the animators actually created a bigger world than Tangled, Wreck-It Ralph and Frozen combined. So they've actually got an idea to have this huge big platform when it comes to Big Hero 6, which would tie in with what you're saying there about marketing and having it reach out in terms of the merchandising. So I just want to go through some of the other trivia in there. So first of all, it got a 7.8 on IMDb. So still scored really, really high. And it was also an Oscar winner for Best Animated Feature Film of the Year. So it did also do well at the Oscars. Baymax's movement and posing was modelled after studying the movement of a baby with a full diaper. I think that was hilarious.
There's something teething about him and clumsy about him, and it's like, that's what makes it so... I mean, they're not stupid. Like, this was designed to sell a lot of toys.
Yes.
This was designed to get kids to go back and say, I want one of those robots, and it's done an amazing job at it. For me, that's, like you say, you're emotionally connected to it, even though it's a robot. I did want to add as well to what Bonzi said, that the tune is an absolute banger, that same tune, like the montage one. I think it's Fall Out Boy that do it, Ella was telling me earlier.
I'm not really a good man when it comes to music, but the tune that they've got playing as the credits come on was dead catchy. Is that the one that you're referring to?
That's it. It's the middle of the film as well. Like.
Yeah, we'll come on to the credits in a little second. The production team watched videos of fire ants as an inspiration for the movement of the microbots, which makes a hell of a lot of sense. Although the movie is made by Disney, the characters are from the Marvel comics, so it ties into the Marvel universe. Again, makes sense when they're aiming down to young boys to be involved in this. Now, who here spotted the post-credit scenes?
Nah, I turned it off and then realised after.
Not me. So, we sort of discussed off camera, but I did spot the picture with Stan Lee on it during the movie, but I didn't keep watching for this post-credits.
That's it. So for those of you that haven't stayed to the end of this is at the very, very, very end of the credits. You'll see that Stanley is not in the credits at all as you're watching it. Scene happens at the end of it where you find out that Fred, his dad, is a superhero, and that superhero is Stan Lee. So Stan Lee has his own cameo in this, as he does for all the other Marvel movies. He is also credited after that post-credit scene, so he gets included in the credits. They have quite a good little interaction between Fred and his dad, because Fred talks about missing his dad and his dad being away to the private island that the family own and stuff, and then he appears. And then they have the interaction about a scene that I totally forgot about until they mentioned it again, where when you go into the room that Fred walks into, when he realises that his dad's an actual superhero, and you've got the masks and the capes, but you've got the pants, you've got his underpants, there's loads and loads of different pairs of underpants, and little Fred is holding a pair of them, and his dad walks in, and his dad says, "Oh, I wear these inside out, back to front, forward and back," the same thing that Fred says earlier on in the movie when he talks about how often he wears the same pair of pants. He puts his arm around Fred and he says, "We've got a lot to discuss about the future." I think it was opening up to something coming in, because typically with Marvel, that's the indication of the next movie.
Yeah, I think the original idea must have been to create like 2 or 3 sequels for this. Like, it definitely sets up for it.
Yeah, and it would do well to have them as well, so it's maybe something that's open-ended to come in the future anyway. It has been set up that way. But guys, do we have anything...
Box office, because maybe it didn't do as well as they expected it to. That could be the issue.
But then you even think now, even with Disney Plus, even as a short animated series or something, you could still milk this and feed the Disney cash cow.
Looking at it just now, the budget was $165 million. Opening weekend was $56 million, but worldwide was $657 million.
Aye.
So it is a successful movie when it comes down to the nitty-gritty of it. But guys, let's get down into scoring for this. Talk to me about Instagram, Daniel, when it comes to Big Hero 6.
So there wasn't much between the two, between Big Hero 6 and Up, but people on Instagram liked Up slightly better and gave this a 3.9 for Big Hero 6, a 3.9.
A 3.9 there, guys. And when we do go onto Instagram, we do say score is out of 5, but someone was that enthusiastic about this movie that they gave it a 10.
Oh, we always get a 10 somewhere, or like a 7 or something stupid.
So if you're going to score it a 10, then you'll be giving it a 5. So a 3.9 when it comes to there. IMDb has this movie down as a 7.8. I think I did mention that earlier. I always panic that I don't say that. Daniel, what would you then score this movie?
I think it's good fun. I would watch it again. I'm giving it a 3.5. I enjoy it a lot better than Up.
A 3.5 for Daniel. Burnsy?
I'm giving it a 3.25.
3.25 from Burnsy. Hunter?
I enjoyed this twice as much as Up, so I'm giving it a 3 out of 5.
You liked it twice as much, but scored it 50% higher. 3 for...
No, I scored a double it. 1.5 times 2 is 3.
You gave Big Hero 6 a 2.
I said that.
Up. I've got 2 written down here for you for Up.
Oh, I've got 1.5 here. I think you're also.
I think you gave it a 2.
So what you going with?
I need to give us a 4 now. Give us a 4.
Do you know what I think's hilarious about that? Is Hunter's thought about that pre this, and he thought, I'm going to give this a double, and he's fucked up the maths.
That's actually a dictate. If you just keep it with me.
I've not even looked at my notes when I've given the score for Up, and
So Hunter, just to confirm for everybody, because that was very vague, what would you score Big Hero 6?
I'll still go for 3.
So you're going for a 3 for Big Hero 6.
Aye.
Awesome. So I mean, I'm going to score this at a 3.75. Because I do enjoy this a lot more than I do Up, and I scored Up very highly. Both very, very good movies. Burnsy, just while you work out the maths in there, Dean Muirhead just popped into the chat. Burnsy, watch Train to Busan. That's your South Korea. There's your horror. Maybe not say it in because you're always talking about Pix films, but listen, it's said. Train to Busan. There's one for you to watch, Burnsy.
Alright, cheers.
I think we'll get hot. We're going to get foreign movies reviewed tonight. We can stick it on that.
Exactly that, Dean. So we do have a wheel that will be getting spun very shortly, and if we hit foreign movies, we'll take that as your suggestion as one that goes into the mix for the Instagram. Chris the Impaler 1991, thanks for joining us. Just as we're talking about horror movies, we had the Impaler come in. Burnsy, what is the overall score for Big Hero 6?
So that's an overall 3.4.
3.4 for when it comes to Big Hero 6. 3.4 moves this movie slightly above, and I'm quite shocked by this, above Spirited Away.
Oh no. Spirited Away is better.
I think this is because we don't have Sean here to pull the score down ridiculously bad.
Sean would bring us all back into reality on both films.
I know, folks.
Sean, he's a fucking one or something. He won't appreciate either of these.
Yeah, I don't think he's got the.
The scores, it's the fault.
He's not got
He
the.
said that, but he was the guy who started watching an hour and a half of Ralph Breaks the Internet instead of watching Wreck-It Ralph, and said he enjoyed that more, so...
Well, listen, that then moves it to number 20 on the slot for us, so it makes top 20 just ahead of Spirited Away, slightly behind Milk and Birdman. So that then concludes us coming towards the end of talking about both movies, sorry. So that's Up coming in at 2.4, Big Hero 6 coming in at 3.4. I'm completely shocked that Big Hero 6, I genuinely thought I was going to be the one that sat here and had to fight the corner for Big Hero 6 to be better than Up. So I'm quite chuffed that we've actually had quite a unanimous thought process across it. Because if you want to see us arguing and fall out, jump onto Instagram and watch the latest clip where we talk about Inglourious Bastards, and you'll.
Where we haven't disagreed over a film. It's usually you that talk some nonsense, or I'm just going to talk that everybody else likes.
Well, anyway, let's talk about next week's films, because next week's films have been decided. Just putting them up onto the screen now for everyone to see. So next week's movies were based around the theme around verses. So what we're looking to do is have some really iconic directors versing each other when it comes to the movies. So the movies that we've got choices of are Kill Bill Volume 1 and Jaws. Guys, I think we've got some that could potentially break the mould and achieve that top 10 status. What's your initial thoughts?
I need to get another 5 that go into the top 10 to get No Country for Old Men out of it, so...
For those of you who don't know, Burnsy has got a universal hatred for No Country for Old Men, so if we can get that out of the list, you'll be a happy, happy man.
That's it.
Aye, jokes aside, I'm buzzing for next week. I think there's a very good chance that we'll get into some arguments because Kyle will inevitably shit on something. But aye, two good ones.
My mum's going to Kill Bill would be a Tarantino for Kyle to shit all over, like.
Aye. So what we're going to have to take into account next week is it's kind of Tarantino versus Spielberg, not just the two movies. So we'll need to try and talk about other films that they've done as well. Because we had people in there like David Fincher, Christopher Nolan, and Spielberg and Tarantino came through at the end as the winners. So looking forward to it.
And that's it. And if you guys have got any thoughts on what these two movies versus in terms of the direction from the directors, put in the comments or message us on Instagram. We'll take that into the thought process for that as well. But as we do every week on this stream, we do finish off the stream by talking about by spinning the wheel to work out what is our category for next week. So we're just going to put the wheel spin on the screen right now. You will see on here some categories. So some categories that are left are war movies, second chance, coming of age, 80s comedy, fantasy, romance, sexy hunk, so a movie about me. Action. We're going to take Naughty's action out, actually, guys, because we've had action in there. We had that recently. True stories, comedy, etc., etc., etc. So, we also added in a girlfriend's choice. That'll be interesting if we land on a girlfriend's choice. I'm actually petrified of a partner's choice when it comes to the movies
I
that we're
told
going to
Laura as always she's been planning her 4 movies for Instagram like for 2 weeks already.
Oh, that's incredible.
Well versed and ready to go.
Jesus Christ, I can just picture Sarah will pick Tarzan 4 times, that'll be it. Just Tarzan, Tarzan, Tarzan. Anyway, guys, the wheel is spinning. Let's hope it's me. I really want to pick some movies. You're not going to believe it. It's landed on me!
Oh, you're that.
Yes!
You need to actually
Never mind,
pick
the
good films this time, unlike the last time when you picked those Mega Shark v Colossus and whatever else you chose for us.
Aye. This could be a disaster.
This is going to be absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Listen, I have picked the movie that is sitting top of our leaderboard as number 1. That came from me. Parasite was my choice. So listen, you sure are
Also pick the bottom 2.
Yeah.
Ah, well, what? The bottom? No, no. I've picked 2 of the bottom 4.
Aye. Well, nobody's defeating like Zuludon is essentially not on the list because it's never getting beaten for.
Well, guys, I hope you're looking forward to some incredible movies. He-Man, Master of the Universe, is certainly going to be added to the list.
I can't watch that. We can't watch that, Kyle. We can't.
If the happenings in your 16, I'm leaving movie club.
I'm thinking The Happening, what kind of Nick Cage movies can I add in?
Oh, God.
I'm going to have a long, hard think if I want to go down, what route I want to go down when it comes to picking movies, but I think you should be worried, and rightly so. Rightly so, guys. But that does bring us to the end of the stream. So we are finishing up for today. We have finished Animated Week, and I'm absolutely delighted that it's going to be myself that gets to select what happens next. Guys, as we do before we finish every stream, we are going to send you across to another streamer on Twitch. Please give them a follow. If you can put in there that you come across from the Morons stream, that would be incredible. I'm going to try and send you over to a FIFA streamer called Hursty that I know really well. It'd be really good if you can show him some support. So, thank you very much from me. Guys, time to say goodbye.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll give you a goodbye from Sean, even though he decided he's too big for us this week. But guys, please berate him at a different time. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Get in his DMs on Twitter.
God. They'll still be there in 3 fucking weeks.